إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله جل جلاله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة كل ضلالة في النار. We continue in Kitab al-Nikah by the great Imam, the great illustrious scholar from Ahlul Sunnah, Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Shihab al-Asqalani rahimahullah rahmatun wasi'ah, who died 852 after the Hijrah al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and his tremendous treatise in regards to the fiqh, the jurisprudence, in which is incumbent upon every student of knowledge, especially if he wants to become a scholar of this religion, that you'll find Ahl Ilm say that these are one of the books that they advise that a student of knowledge starts by memorizing the Hadeeth in. The Hadeeth, for example, of Umdat al-Ahkam, then likewise after that Buloogh ul-Maraam, where these hadith are often commonly used. And these are the books in which Ahl Ilm highly advise the people, especially the students of knowledge who want to become a scholar of this religion. These are the books that one would finish and try his best to memorize the hadith in this tremendous treatise. We continue in Kitab al-Nikah as we stop at the hadith of Abu Burda ibn Abi Musa عن أبيه رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا نكاح إلا بولي رواه أحمد والأربعة وصححه علي بن المديني والترمذي وابن حبان وأعل بالإرسال. We stopped at the hadith and we were given a lot of details in this regard, where we said on the authority of Abu Burda ibn Abi Musa عن أبيه رضي الله عنهما قال that the Prophet ﷺ said that there's no nikah except with a wali. There's no nikah except with a wali. The meaning of the hadith is we'll start off by saying there's no nikah mawjood. Does not mean that nikah kamil or naqis. Rather the meaning is la nikah mawjood. There is no nikah that is present, meaning there is no nikah whatsoever. And as we know, la is what they call la an-nafiya. La an-nafiya and nikah, or the whole statement la nikah, is called la nafiya lil jins. Such as, for example, la ilaha illallah. For la nikaha is the same sigha, or the same context in which the Prophet ﷺ negated that there is no nikah whatsoever. It is not valid. The validity of the marriage is not present except with a wali. There's another narration that Imam Ahmad had mentioned in his Musnad on the authority of An al-Hasan عن عمران بن الحسين عن عمران بن حسين ابن عبيد بن خلف الخزاعي مرفوعا لا نكاح إلا بولي وشاهدين. If you look in your books, you'll find there's another narration where Imam Ahmad related on Al-Hasan on the authority of Imran ibn Hussein. The Imran ibn Hussein, the great Sahabi who we talked about the other day in Kitab al-Tawheed, his name was Imran ibn Hussein ibn Ubayd ibn Khalaf al-Khuza'i, who became Muslim Am Khaybar. Him and his father were Sahabiyan Jalilan Fadilan. The Imran ibn Hussein ibn Ubayd ibn Khalaf al-Khuza'i. The Imran was a Sahabi, and likewise his father Al-Hussein. Al-Hussein likewise was a Sahabi. Radiyallahu anhuma wa ardahuma. Another narration where the Prophet ﷺ said, La nikaha illa biwaliyin wa shahidain. There is no nikah valid except by a wali and 2 witnesses. We also added that there's another narration in which Al-Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah rahmatu wasi'ah wa jazahullahu عنا وعن المسلمين خير الجزاء وضاعف الله في مثوبته رحمه الله, that he mentioned and said شاهدين عدلين. There's another narration comes and says شاهدين عدلين, 2 upright witnesses. 2 upright witnesses. Also the next hadith, if you flip your page, if everyone turns their page, on the authority of Aisha radiyallahu anhuma قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أيما امرأة نكحت بغير إذن وليها فنكاحها باطل فنكاحها باطل فنكاحها باطل فإن دخل بها فلها المهر فإن دخل بها فلها المهر بما استحل من فرجها وإن اشتجروا فالسلطان ولي من لا ولي له. On the authority of Aisha radiyallahu anha, that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, any woman that marries without the permission of her wali, that her nikah is batil, her nikah is invalid. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned it what? 3 times. And if he enters her, meaning he consummates with her, then that which will belong to her is the mahr, in which it made unlawful her private parts. And if they differ, and they argue or they bicker, he says then the sultan or the authorities becomes the wali, or the wali for the one who does not have any wali. This hadith has been extracted in Al-Arba'ah, which is in Sunan Abi Dawud, Ibn Majah, and Tirmidhi. And the hadith likewise is authentic. وصححه أبو عوانة, that's in his Mustakhraj, Ibn Hibban wal-Hakim. Another, flip the head page, everyone, flip the page. Likewise, on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, لا تنكح الأيم حتى تستأمر ولا تنكح البكر حتى تستأذن. قالوا يا رسول الله وكيف إذنها؟ كيف إذنها؟ قال أن تسكت. والحديث متفق عليه. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that a woman who's al-ayyimu, a woman that has been married previously, she's not married or married off until she's consulted. Until she's consulted. وَلَا تُنْكَحُ الْبِكْرُ حَتَّى تُسْتَأْذَنْ. And the woman who is a virgin, she's not married off until she's what? Until it is sought her permission. Until it is sought her permission. قالوا, O Messenger of Allah, then how is her permission? He says that she remains quiet. And the hadith is muttafaqun alayh. And also on the authority of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, that the Prophet ﷺ said, الثيب أحق بنفسها من وليها والبكر تستأمر وإذنها سكوتها. When the authority of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ also mentioned, he said, الثيب أحق بنفسها من وليها. The woman who was married previously, she is more deserving and having more right over herself than her wali. And the bikr, or the woman who's a virgin, is consulted, and her permission is her remaining quiet. Rawahu Muslim. Another narration, it says, ليس للولي مع الثيب أمر واليتيمة تستأمر. And another narration, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, it said, he says, it is not, or does not belong to the wali with the woman who is a thayyib. A thayyib is a woman that's been married previously or married before. It is not for the wali with the thayyib any command. Any command. And the woman, or a little young woman, al-yatima, to stamar, or the virgin, likewise she's to be consulted in this other narration. And if you look into the other, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه, that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, it is not for a woman to marry off another woman, nor a woman to marry herself. رواه ابن ماجه والدارقطني ورجاله ثقات. And the last narration, which we'll explain, and we already explained it, and we gave a little bit of details on it for the past 2 weeks. On the authority of Nafi' عن ابن عمر, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned and said, نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الشغار والشغار أن يزوج الرجل ابنته على أن يزوجه الآخر ابنته وليس بينهما صداق والحديث متفق عليه. The authority of Nafi' عن ابن عمر, the Prophet ﷺ prohibited the nikah, which is called the marriage of الشغار. الشغار. And he explained what a shighar is, where he said that a man marries his ibnatahu, that he marries his daughter with the condition that the other one marries his daughter to him. Basically, they kind of switch. He marries his daughter to her, he marries his daughter to him, and he marries his daughter to the other one, to the other man who's in the same party, without any dowry. Jayyid. So we go back to the Hadeeth Abu Burda ibn Abi Musa. If everyone turns their pages back to where we started. It says there is no nikah except a wali. We already covered this hadith. As we said last lesson, we said that the i'lan, the Prophet ﷺ had commanded that the nikah be broadcasted and that it be what? Announced. And that is a command from the Prophet ﷺ, where he said in the command form, أعلنوا النكاح. أعلنوا النكاح. Announce the nikah. Announce the nikah. And we said that announcing the nikah takes place by one or two affairs. Number one is what, everyone? The duf. And يضرب عليها بالغربال, as it says in one narration. And in another, it happens by, or the announcing of the marriage takes place by what, everyone? Establishing the walima. As Shaykh Salih Fawzan ibn Abdullah al-Fawzan hafidhullah wa ra'ah, that he clearly mentions in his commentary of this hadith, where he said that also from i'lan al-nikah, iqamatul walima ala ithrihi wa imma ala ithri al-aqd wa imma ala ithri al-dukhul. Also it takes place, the announcement of the marriage, as establishing the walima after the marriage, or after the contract, or after he consummates. It could be one of the three. Because a lot of people think that that's after the consummation, but it can be after what? It can be either, no doubt, it could be after the contract, or it could be after one consummates. So this is from announcing the nikah, that it takes place by one of these two matters as we mentioned. So So one, based upon even with Sheikh Salih Fawzan, you will find that his kalam or his speech saying that this is a shart, that this is a condition nikah. Even though some of Ahl Ilm say it's not a shart. If you notice his kalam, he says it's a condition, where he says, فَهَذِهِ كُلُّهَا أُمُورٌ يَحْصُلُ بِهَا إِعْلَانُ النِّكَاحِ فَإِنْ لَمْ يَحْصُلْ إِعْلَانٌ لِلنِّكَاحِ بِأَحَدِ هذه الأمور فإن النكاح غير صحيح فالنكاح باطل. Listen to what he says. All these affairs, which we just mentioned, the duf, or striking the duf, or the duff, excuse me. He says that all by both of these affairs, the i'lan or announcing the nikah takes place. And if it does not take place by one of these matters, he says the nikah is not valid. So what is he saying here? That it's a what? It's a condition. It's a condition. Even though some Ahl Ilm say it's not a condition, but in order for one to stay away from khilaf, then just have the walima. Just have a walima. It's that simple. الشرط الثاني الولي فلا يصح النكاح إلا بولي. So number one, if you notice in the hadith, we talked about that one should announce the nikah. That is not something that should be what? Kept secret. Because, as we talked about, which al-imam, which the Sheikh Muhammad ibn Umar Salim Bazmul, Sheikh Muhammad, mentions in his Sharh al-Muwatta, al-Imam Malik, that he says that this type of matter brings riba to the woman. It brings some type of doubt upon the woman, or upon what? The man. Rather, the nikah should be broadcast and announced. And that is the difference between a zina or a nikah or a sifah. It's a difference between a nikah or a sifah. Nikah is a marriage, and sifah is fornication. For verily, back in the times where people had chivalry and they had more honor, and things were about honor and chivalry in families, people used to be shy about fornication or something being put in that limelight on oneself. You understand, everyone? So, anything that would shed that type of limelight on himself, he would hasten towards removing it. He wouldn't hesitate. And likewise, Islam comes in order to keep the honor of one individual clear, and also in high esteem with the people. In these days, at times, it's the total opposite. A person can fornicate and brag and boast about it, and everybody's laugh, hee. Not only they would laugh, hee and ha, they would also celebrate over it and give gifts over it. They have what they call a baby shower, even though the child was born out of fornication, baby shower to the end of it. So let us know the type of times we live in. But back in the times, though, everything was about honor and chivalry and preservation of families and honor and lineage. You'll find that the nikah, in order to preserve one's honor, is that they will what? Announce it. And they will what? Broadcast it. So it says here, so the first shart that Sheikh Salih Fawzan, he says it's a shart, that then one should broadcast and announce the marriage. Based upon the next hadith, if you look in, everyone looks in the book, it says, لا نكاح إلا بولي. لا نكاح إلا بولي. There's no nikah except with a wali. There's no nikah except with a wali. It says, وَالشَّرْطُ الثَّانِي الْوَلِي. For verily the nikah is not valid except with a wali. يكون العاقل للمرأة فلو زوجت نفسها فنكاحها باطل. For verily, the nikah is not valid except with a wali, and that the one who wants to marry a woman, if the woman marries herself, then likewise we said that this is invalid. Her nikah is invalid. And even more, it's a shame that now I hear rumors that there are sisters that have married each other, meaning that they were lesbians. And that's a shame we have to even talk about this. You would think that a Muslim would not even be involved in this. But now we have to even speak about this. But that marriage, as we'll talk about, is also invalid.
And it's a shame that you would never think that now you have to talk about that there has to be between a woman and a man. You understand, everyone? That shows how the type of times we live in these days. It says, كما دل عليه الحديث لفقدانه الولي والولي ينبغي أن يكون أقرب عصباتها. We talked about this last week. So the second condition is that what, everyone? That there has to be a wali. For if a woman marries herself, then nikah is invalid. And likewise, that the wali or the wilaya should be from the aspect, as we said last week, from the aspect of the father's side. From the jihati asabatiha. For a person being a wali should be from aqrab asabatiha, the closest that comes from the father's side, either the father himself or the relatives from that side of the family. Listen to what he says. والولي ينبغي أن يكون أقرب عصباتها أما قرابتها من جهة الرحم كخالها وأبي أمها أو أخيها لأم أو ابن أختها كل هذه القرابة من جهة الأم ومن جهة الأرحام ليسوا أولياء إنما الأولياء الذكور من العصبة. So he says, in regards to how the wilaya, or a person being a wali, should be from the aspect of the father's side. It should be from that side, if possible. Of course, in America it's different. But for the asl, we're talking about the origin. The origin is supposed to be like this. From the aspect of the father's side, he says, as for the jihat al-rahim, from the mother's side, for example, the mother's sister, or the mother's, for example, wa abi ummiha, or for example, her father, or for example, the mother's father, her father, or for example, akhiha li or the aunt side that comes from the mother's side, meaning that's her aunt. Anything from the woman's side, basically, just to sum up everything. He said, for this is the qaraba or the relatives being from the side of the mother. They are not awliya. They shouldn't be wali. They should not be a wali, whether it be that uncle from the mother's side, or the father from the mother's side, or anything from that type of aspect, or in that side of the relatives, or from the aspect of the mother, should not be the awliya. They should not be a wali. He says, rather, the dhukur, the males from the asaba, who are from the aspect of what? From the father. They are the ones that should be the awliya for the women. He says, al-aqrab fal-aqrab. فَإِذَا لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهَا wali. And if she does not have a wali, then the sultan, the authorities, is the wali for the woman who does not have one. In these regards, then the one who's in charge of the Marakis Islami and the non-Muslim countries, that they are the ones, as we know, that take on the affairs of the woman, who are wukala, and they're not awliya. They were wakil. There's not a wali. A wakil is that which you see what takes place in the masajid here in America. As those men are not awliya, rather they are wukala. Jayyid. Idhan, for if a woman marries herself off, then what's the hukum? If a woman marries herself off, it's invalid. No, follow. Nope. A woman cannot be a wali at all. A woman cannot be a wali at all. At all. Can't marry her own daughter off. Of course, with America, you can do what you want. But then in the hereafter, that's when everything is going to count. You're going to find, coming on the day of resurrection, that affair was what? Invalid. Of course, in the dunya, everybody's free to do what they want. That's the problem now. There's no boundaries on anything. There's no accountability. But there will be accountability in the hereafter, after death, for all of our actions. So if a person does this type of nikah on the day of resurrection, and Allah knows best, Allah will, after he lays down the haqq on the day of resurrection, then that nikah is batil, based upon these texts. طيب. So the first, as we said, that the nikah should be what? Announced to everyone, right? That's the first shart. The second one is that there has to be a wali. The third shart is that there had to be two witnesses who are men. Two witnesses that are men. It cannot be women to be a shahid in a nikah. I mean, they can come if they want, but what validates the marriage is the presence of two men who are Muslim and upright. They're praying and they manifest uprightness. As far as that which is in the sara'ir or the secrets, that's something different. But as far as the ones who displays and manifests openly uprightness, praying 5 times a day, and all of those matters, then like we said, ya ma'ashul ikhwan, they suffice as being a shahid. So they have to be Muslim, and of course they have to be upright in the aqidah and minhaj, also likewise, and in their uprightness in which they manifest openly. Those are the ones who supposed to be what? Shuhada or shuhud in the nikah. But in regards to a woman being a shahid, then la. As Shaykh Abdul-Aziz bin Baz, if you look to his fatwa, he even mentions, it says that a woman is not befitting for her to be a witness in a nikah in order for it to validate the nikah. As if a woman that just wants to sit around, she's in a masjid, she looks, there's nothing wrong with that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about that which is needed to validate the marriage. You understand, everyone? As far as a woman sitting and witnessing and listening, there's nothing wrong with that. We're talking about the shuhud that is brought in order to validate the marriage. Then there have to be what? 2 men have to be present. There are Muslimain, Adlain, يعني أظهر الاستقامة فيما يبدو لنا. As far as in regards to the 2 men, like we said, they have to be Muslim, upright, especially in their aqidah and their minhaj, and also likewise in their uprightness in regards to the fara'id, or the duties such as, for example, the salawat. Those are the men that should be shuhud for the nikah. They are the men that should be the shuhud, or the witnesses for the nikah. As for the arkan, or the pillars of nikah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, just to gather everything up. So the Prophet ﷺ and all these ahadith, what do we gather from it? The Prophet ﷺ commanded the i'lan al-nikah. That's number 1. Secondly, after that, what did the Prophet ﷺ command? Command likewise that there had to be a wali. And if not a wali, then the sultan, the authorities, if one was in a Muslim country, then the hakim or the judge or the one who's from the authorities would take on her affairs or be responsible for her affairs if we was in a Muslim country. Due to the fact that we're in a non-Muslim country, then the affairs are referred to the what? To the Masjid or the Marakiz Islamiyah or the Masajid Islamiyah that are in the country, the different Masajid. They are the ones who take on the affairs of the women, and they are not awliya, as we said, they are wukala. They are wakil. They are not a wali. طيب. So there has to be a wali. So there has to be also what? 2 witnesses. And as we're going to speak on this narration right now, as the authority of Aisha, on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha, that says any woman that marries herself without the permission of her wali, notice the Prophet ﷺ also said what? Her nikah is invalid, is batil. Then the Prophet ﷺ gave more instructions and gave more details. If it's to happen, if this takes place, then what happens? What do we do with the dowry? The Prophet ﷺ clarifies, if he becomes intimate with her, he entered her, then it belongs to her that mahr. She takes the mahr and she can keep it of what had made lawful her private part. And if they bicker or they differ, then the sultan is the wali for the one who does not have a wali. طيب. As we're going to speak about, inshallah, also likewise, there's going to be more details in regards to clarify how Islam also allows for the woman to give her the choice for who she's pleased with to marry. For example, she's not forced or coerced to marry anyone except in one case, as we'll talk about inshallah. Except in one case, yes. But the asl is you'll find that the woman is not coerced or forced to marry a man she is not pleased with. For verily the affairs, which we're going to talk about, if you flip the page, is going to come. But the Prophet ﷺ said that the ayyimu is not married until she's consulted. She's not married until she's consulted. Like for example, the wali cannot just go off and say, well, I'll marry her to you, and the woman does not have any awareness or any knowledge of what's taking place. طيب. So to add on likewise to those shurut is what they call a taradi bayn al-zawjayn, that the two parties have to be pleased with each other. Meaning that the woman is pleased with him, and likewise vice versa, the opposite. The man is pleased with her, meaning with her religion, and also likewise with the appearance. The appearance likewise. There's nothing wrong with that. But like we talked about, we told the brothers and the sisters to take a moderate position in these affairs, to be moderate. Not to be so extreme in which you're trying to find the most perfect, physical, appealing spouse in the dunya. And likewise, men look for that. They want her shape to be flawless, as there's no person out here who has a flawless physicality. Rather, everyone has some type of deficiency. Or they will have some type of deficiency. People's bodies change as they get older. And as they get more older in life, everybody's usually figures change or their bodies change. But there has to be some type of accommodation in this aspect. Because from the maqasid of nikah, as we'll talk about, is husul al-ulfa wal-mawadda. For women, or this shart that we just mentioned, which is that they have to be pleased with each other. Because if a person is not pleased with the other, then it contradicts the aims or the goals of nikah, which is to bring about love and affection and harmony. If it goes against that, then what? Then the nikah should not be what? Carried out. So just to sum up everything, the other shart, the condition we say, that the two parties have to be pleased with each other. The two parties have to be pleased with each other. Also likewise, to add on to that, a ta'yin. A ta'yin should also take place. Meaning, what is the meaning of ta'yin? It should be specified who is the person or the woman getting married or the man getting married. Because a man might have a lot of daughters, and the man might come to his house and say, I marry my daughter to you. He has 6, 7 daughters. طيب, which one? You understand? He can't just generalize. Just say, I marry my daughter to you. And he's looking and saying, whoa, you have 7 different daughters. Unless you're marrying all 4 of them to me. But other than that, you have to specify who is the what? Who is the woman? Who specify who she is? So-and-so fulana, so-and-so fulana, Khadija, her specifically, I mean her. It has to be specified. You understand, everyone? That's the meaning of ta'yin. Ta'yin meaning to specify the person. Specifically make who it is. طيب. So we gather from all this that if a woman becomes married or she marries herself without a wali, then of course nikah is what? Is batil. Not only did the Prophet ﷺ just say it was invalid, he even repeated it 3 times. You know it's in the Hadeeth. He said, nikahu batil, nikahuha batil, nikahuha batil. To put more emphasis on the invalidity of the marriage. It is not valid. It is not what? valid. Notice in the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, if they إِذَا اشْتَجَرُوا, meaning if they differ. What do you mean by if they differ? اختلف المرأة, for example, the woman might differ with her parents or those who are in charge of her affairs. There might take some type of khilaf or some type of bickering might take place, or some type of argumentation might take place between them, between the woman and her parents or those who are in charge of her affairs. He says if that's the case, for in al-wilaya, or the one who's in charge now of the woman's affairs, it goes back to the what? To the authorities. And it is the hakim. Stop biting your nails. Or the hakim. Or the vice hakim, or the one who takes the place of the hakim for his place. Meaning the vice leader, or the vice, they're not the vice president, we say, but the one who substitutes for the initial leader. فَنَائِبُ السُّلْطَانِ كَالْأَمِيرُ وَالْقَاضِي, or the judge, he would take the place of the authorities. So it goes back to him and his power and his jurisdiction. And if not, in a non-Muslim country, the Sheikh Salih Fawzan even mentioned says, then Ra'is al-Jama'a al-Islamiyya or Ra'is al-Markaz al-Islami. Meaning what we see and take place here in the masajid that we see, where someone is appointed and he takes on the affairs of the women. But a woman does not what? Marry herself off in any case. Why? Because of all the ayat in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you notice that when Allah commands the inkah, when we say inkah, meaning marrying off women or marrying them off, notice that the addressment in the book of Allah is all towards the men. You'll find all of the ayats are addressed towards the men. For example, وَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says, addressing the men, marry the al-ayama minkum, meaning those women from amongst yourselves, whether it be from the righteous, from your slaves, and what your right hand possesses, or the concubines. But Allah Ta'ala in these ayat, those who marry the women off are the men. So that addressment is to show that those who are in charge are the men. They are in charge over the women, in order to discuss with the other man who's interested in marrying her affairs, ultimately, or to supervise it. And if you notice in another ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَا تُنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى what? حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا. That Allah Ta'ala also says in the book, do not marry the polytheists. Do not marry the polytheists off until they believe. Notice that the addressment when Allah says la tunkihu is talking towards the men. Oh, you believe in men, don't believe in women off to the polytheists until they believe. So the addressment, the ayat is all directed towards who? The men. Shows that the men are the awliya, are the ones whose authority over the women. It says خطاب الرجال في القرآن خاطب الرجال بالإنكاح. So this is a clear dalil to show that what everyone? That the one who's a wali for the woman is a man. And it's not for a woman to marry herself off or to marry another woman off or her daughter off. Rather, those affairs are for the men. As the men are the ones you'll find that are able to supervise these sittings, and they can discuss in which a woman might forget in the sitting, or what is something that is detrimental to the marriage. For example, here I notice in America, especially when women who are dealing with a man before the marriage, he'll get inside of her head emotionally. And then her heart would be tied in with him. And no matter how much you try to say to the woman, I don't think that this man is appropriate for you. No, I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not trying to hear it. Well, how you have so much attachment towards him so much? Where did this occur? Facebook. Problem. That's the reason why the affair should be referred to the who? Towards the men. You ask the woman, how did you ask them this before you married them? So a lot of women might forget. Did you ask him this? This is important. Did you ask him this? Do you tell him this is your maintenance? This is this? For example, my maintenance, I need $500 a month, $600 a month. Can you do it or not? Some women, they will say, for example, no, just do what you could give me. No. Then, as soon as you get in a marriage, problems start to occur. Woman starts to get an attitude, calling up her friends. This man hasn't paid no bill in 2 months, 3 months. Can't he pay something? Well, sister, you said in the marriage, what? Pay me what you can what? Give me. That's what I'm saying. That type of obscurity causes problems in the marriage. Keeping it vague and thinking that a person's supposed to be automatically inspired towards giving you a certain amount of money, that's something that's not the reality, especially in these days and times. We live in days and times that the uqul, or the minds of people, are really strange. So you have to make things clear in the beginning of the marriage. Say, this is what I want, this is what I need, and especially if you don't have the will to speak up, then the wali is the one who will speak up for you. Listen, her bills is this. Can you do it or not, brother? I'm just asking. Can you do $500 a month, $600 a month? This is what she needs. Can you do it or not? No, I can't. Okay, move on. Next person. Let's just keep it moving. You understand, everyone? But those are the men that are ones who usually direct the women to know what is good for them and to remind them. The problem is when you find the premarital relationships on Facebook, social media, on the street, going out, dating her, till the man gets this out of her head, because we know that women, all you have to do is give them a little kind words, cater to their emotions, listen and hear out their problems a little bit, and then you in. Got her. That's it. Accommodate, listen to her emotions, listen to her problems, say a little kind words, show her some attention and some affection, bang. Problem. And then if a man comes in, the wali or the wakil steps in and say, listen, I don't think that's a person that you will want to marry. Due to the fact that if he did that with you, how many other women he's done that with? And then once he's captivated her emotionally, then it will be a what? It'll be an issue. The woman, I'm not trying to hear it. I like him. I don't care what you say. I like him. Sister, I don't think that's a person that you'll be involved, especially if that man came in this type of regard, in this type of way that goes against the religion. I don't think that's a good fit. I'm not trying to hear what you're trying to say. That's a problem. So that's what I'm saying. You find that these ayats, the hikmah of why Allah Ta'ala made the men in charge of the affairs. So the women could be dealt with properly and that men do not take advantage of them. And if the affairs was left towards the women, then you will find there will be a lot of corruption in the earth. There'll be a lot of corruption and chaos. So it says in regards to this, فَدَلَّ عَلَىٰ أَنْ الْمُخَاطَبِ, and these ayats is for the men. Who's addressed in the ayats is towards the men. In a lot of different ayat. فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنْ, for Allah Ta'ala also says in His book, فَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنْ, meaning do not prevent her from the man who is good and upright in his religion, that you marry her off to him. That's ayat was addressed towards likewise the men. طيب. So these are the evidences and proofs to show in regards to what validates the marriage is the i'lan, also likewise, or broadcasting nikah, broadcasting it or announcing it. Secondly, the wujud of the wali, also likewise, two witnesses that are upright and Muslim. And the fourth is what we're going to talk about right now, which is what? That there has to be a taradi, that both parties have to be content with each other or pleased with each other. If you flip your pages in the hadith, it says, وَعَنْ أَبِي هُرَيْرَةَ أَنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم لَا تُنْكَحُ الْأَيِّمُ حَتَّى تُسْتَأْمَرُ, that the woman who was a thayyib, of course, who was married before, is not married off until she's consulted. Until she is consulted. This is another condition of the nikah, that the two parties have to be pleased with each other. However, so the asl is that a woman is sought her permission in all cases that what? That she's consulted, even a woman who's a bikr, even if she was a virgin, same thing. That she has to be pleased with the man marrying her. However, if she is not mumayyiza aqila, like for example, doesn't have that tamyiz, like she can't distinguish what's good for her or not good for her. So you have some women out there who do not have that tamyiz, and they're not to the point where they totally coherent understand what's good for them. If that's the case, then what? The man takes on, and he is the one that marries off to see what he sees befitting for her. If this is the case where she has lack of what? Tamyiz, and she has lack of aql. But aql here doesn't mean, it does not mean the mind or the intellect. Here it means the understanding. It means fahm. Here it means fahm, means understanding. إذا كانت غير مميزة عاقلة بمعنى غير فاهمة. ليست عاقلة should have no aql. How you want to marry a woman that has no aql? You understand? Here it means fahm, mudrika, fahima. She knows what's good for her. Usually a woman that's been married before already knows what she's tasted, she's seen the problems that occurred, and she wants to get married, so I know what she basically knows, what's good for her. Also likewise, a woman that's grown, that's also a virgin, usually also likewise knows what's good for her. But a woman that's younger, and she's likewise in a state where she can't distinguish of what's good for her, what's not good for her, that in this particular instance, then the man can marry the woman off to see who is befitting for her. In this case only. You understand, everyone? But the asl is, or the origin is that a woman is not married off until she's consulted or she's asked or her permission is sought. And she's pleased. If not, then the nikah also likewise can be rejected. As we'll talk about the hadith of Jabir, that's going to come inshallah, where from the sahabiyat, from the women of the Prophet ﷺ, who was married off to a man that she was not pleased with. And she came to the Prophet ﷺ and complained, and the Prophet ﷺ nullified their marriage. He nullified their marriage, alayhi salatu wasalam. As we'll talk about inshallah. In this type of knowledge that we're attaining, it shows the adl, the justice of Islam. And it's not how they portray in the media, that it's a tyrannical, chaotic, barbaric religion, as they try to portray to the people. Rather, it's a religion of adl, of justice and preservation of the people and their honor and respect and their families and their property, and even regards to the manzila or the status of the families, holding them in high regards, and also shutting the doors to anything that would tarnish the honor of the family. You understand, everyone? As you see this religion, if you notice through all this chapter that we're taking here, one needs to look at it from the aspect of the details that our religion has. And if you compare it to the Christians and the people out here, they have no details in these regards. Anything goes based upon where their feelings or what they think to see be so-called befitting for the society. But they don't have none of these details. For example, the men, the wali, the conditions, the mahar, and if this takes place, then this takes place. This religion has given us clear details in every aspect, in which you'll find each hadith, once we go on, see, and another example of this, which you see in the book, that the woman who is a thayyib, who's married previously, or a woman who's a virgin, we have details for that. Where it says that the woman who's a thayyib, if you look in your books, لا تنكح الأيم حتى تستأمر, that the woman who's a ayyim is not married off until she is consulted. This is what Shaykh Salih Fawzan mentions. It says this. He says, وهذا دليل على شرط آخر من شروط صحة النكاح وهو التراضي. The two parties being pleased with each other. He said, بأن تزوج المرأة برضاها والمرأة إن كانت صغيرة دون التمييز فليس له إذن. يزوجها وليها ممن يرى أنه أصلح لها كما زوج أبو بكر عائشة رضي الله عنها وهي بنت 6 سنين زوجها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم يستأذنها فدل على أن غير المميزة ليس لها إذن ليس لها إذن غير المميزة وإن إذنها بيد وليها. جيد. أما إن كانت مميزة وعاقلة فلا بد من استئذانها سواء كانت بكرا أو ثيبا، لكن الإذن يختلف من البكر إلى الثيب، ولكن الصحيح أن الكل يستأذن, as we'll talk about inshallah. طيب. So a woman, she has to be pleased with who she's marrying. He says, as for if she was younger and she has no distinction, no tamyiz, as we said, tamyiz means she can distinguish between what's good for her and what's not good for her. She can have that, what they call tamyiz, to distinguish between what is good for her and what is not good for her. If she does not have this tamyiz, then it is not فَلَيْسَ لَهُ إِذْن, that she has no permission, that her wali, or the one who's in charge, her father, will marry her off to see who is most befitting for her, or most suitable for her, and for her situation. Just as Abu Bakr had married Aisha, radiallahu anha, and she was what? 6 سنين. She was 6 years old. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not what? As a Messenger of Allah, Aisha, her father Abu Bakr did not seek her permission. For verily it was an indication that a woman who's غير مميزة, she does not have that tamyiz, she does not have the idhn, except وَإِنَّ إِذْنَهَا بِيَدِ وَلِيهَا, that her permission is in the hands of her wali, meaning her father, or who's the next up to that if there's no father, meaning the closest of her relatives from the men on the father's side, if that's the case where her situation is like that. He says, as for if she's mumayyiza, she has that distinguishment, and she's aqila, she's understanding, or she knows what she wants. She knows. Then a person has to seek her permission, whether she be a virgin or not a virgin. Whether she be a virgin or not a virgin. For a woman who's a thayyib, woman that's been married before, that's what they call thayyib. Thayyib is one woman who's been married before. She has to what? Say it with her mouth. Her permission. Seek her permission. Do you want to marry him? She will have to utter it with her tongue. Say yes. As for the woman usually who's a bikr or is a virgin, and she has not, of course, been influenced by the Western culture probably. Rather, she's been left alone, her innate nature. As we know, the nature of a woman, naturally, if it hasn't been affected by the ideologies of the West, her natural disposition is what, everyone? She's shy. A woman is shy, and a woman has hishma and hayat. She's shy, and she's modest. That's the asl of a woman, how Allah created them, unless they've been influenced by something outside. But the asl of a woman, how Allah created them, they're shy. They're modest. And if she was left in the origin of her being a virgin, then her permission would be sought by her what? Her silence. Her permission would be sought by her what? Her silence. That's for a woman, of course, that has not been influenced by the Western influences. Especially by now, these days, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. That's the only thing we can say. طيب. This number also goes on to say, لأنها تستحي خلافا للثيب فإن عندها جراءة لأنها جربت الزواج فلا بد من إذن المميزة من النساء في تزويجها ولكن إذن الثيب بأن تنطق بالموافقة وإذن البكر بالسكوت عفوا. He says a woman who's been married before, she has a jara'a, she has not nerve, but she has some courage to know what she wants. She say it. As for the woman who is mumayyiza, from the women, of course, they're from the mumayyiza, the woman, because she's tasted marriage before, she knows. But as for the bikr, who has not tasted and experienced marriage, and like I said, you probably have to add on, she hasn't been influenced by the Western or Eurocentric society, then if she was left upon her natural innate disposition of her being modest, then her permission would be her what? Her silence. Jayyid. In this hadith is an indication that a woman is not forced to get married in Islam. In this hadith, that there is no ijbar للمرأة بكرا كانت أو ثيبا وأن الذين فرقوا بين البكر والثيب فقال البكر لوليها أن يجبرها والثيب ليس له ذلك تفريق ماذا غير صحيح. That this is a dalil, the clear evidence that a woman is not forced to get married, whether she be a virgin or whether she be a thayyib, a woman that's been married previously. That she's not forced. We gave that one circumstance, or that one exception a couple of minutes ago where we said that if she does not have that tamyiz and she's not having that fahm or that aql, and we're not saying aql, we mean the intellect here. We mean aql can also mean what? Fahm, understanding, and deep understanding and wisdom. A good example of that is Shaykh Rabi''s book called Minhaj al-Anbiya by Shaykh Rabi', and he titled the book منهج الأنبياء في الدعوة إلى الله فيه الحكمة والعقل. It says in the title فيه الحكمة والعقل. فيه الحكمة والعقل. The minhaj of the prophets in calling to Allah, in it is al-hikmah wal-aql. It says in it is wisdom and understanding. Al-hikmah wal-aql. So aql can, if she's aqila, the woman is aqila, or she doesn't have those characteristics, then like we said, we gave that exception. But the asl is that a woman is not forced to get married to anyone. She's not forced to get married to anyone, especially if he's not a kufu. A kufu means that he does not have what will suffice her. Especially, she gets forced to marry off to a man, for example, maybe she does not like him physically, or he's not able, nor does he have the ability to what? Take care of her. If this is the case, then what? Especially in this case, then the marriage is not correct. We'll stop here, inshallah, because it seems like everybody's a little tired today. طيب. We'll stop here, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم بارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. There's more details to come in this, inshallah. There's more details. Shut the door. Any questions from the brothers and sisters? Just slide under the door. Yeah, you turn it off for me. It's